The Troubadours and Trouvères were the medieval poet-musicians of France. They wrote the first large body of secular music. Secular means that the music wasn't sacred, it wasn't for the church. It was, in fact, popular music. In the Middle Ages, both words were applied to anyone who wrote or composed anything. The Troubadours and Trouvères created an extensive repertoire of at least 5,000 poems that were written in the regional language. Melodies have been preserved for about a third of them. The literary and musical movement actually began in the South with the Troubadours. By the last third of the 12th century, their art spread to the north and was carried on and further developed by the Trouvères. The social position of the Troubadours seemed to have varied considerably, but the activity was centered generally in aristocratic circles. Some of them were actually kings. In fact, some of them were women, and our book example was composed by a female troubadour named Beatrice, Countess of Dia. Troubadour and Trouvère songs sometimes dealt with political and moral topics, the Crusades, dance songs, some of their music is instrumental music, but the central subject matter of their poetry was love, particularly courtly love. Here love was seen as something more than mere attraction. Unlike today, romantic love was not a prerequisite to seek out a marriage partner. Marriage back then was more an alliance of economics and politics. The love songs of the Troubadours were sometimes openly sensual. Some of their songs concealed their graphic nature under the veil of courtly love, which represented passion in a more mystical than fleshy way. Usually, the object was a woman of noble ranking who was married to someone else. A quote from the Grout history book: "She's adored from a distance with such discretion, respect, and humility that the lover is made to seem more like a worshipper, content to suffer in the service of his ideal love, the object of all of his aspiration. The lady herself is depicted as so remote, calm, lofty, and unattainable that she'd be stepping out of character did she condescend to reward her faithful lover." It's interesting that in our book, it's sort of the other way around because it's written by a female. Troubadour and Trouvère songs aren't necessarily profound in terms of their poetry, but their structure shows lots of variety and ingenuity. One of the greatest troubadours was Bernard de Ventadorn, and because I didn't want to violate copyright law, I didn't put the song inside this presentation, but please listen to this piece. It's included here in the resource folder. It's really beautiful. For those of you that speak any French or Spanish or Italian, I encourage you to Google the text here so that you can take a look at the words. These are written in the vernacular in southern France is Provençal or L'Aquitaine, and there's a lot of words that if you speak those languages would probably look familiar. And when you listen to it, notice that there is a rhyme scheme. A lot of these songs are in what are called strophic form. That means that they have different verses of text with the same music that repeats. The name of the song that I'm talking about is Convey la Lausette Mouvert by Bernard de Ventadorn. I'll let you guys listen to that on your own. So some troubadours played their own music, and a lot of them entrusted the performances of their works to these people that were called minstrels or jongleurs. And those were the practical performing musicians that would wander either by themselves or in groups, playing music, exhibiting trained animals, doing acrobatic tricks, etc. And you'll hear much more about them in this delightful film called The Minstrels, from a series called Medieval Lives with Terry Jones, a former Monty Python member. The minstrels were definitely on the lower rung in the social ladder in the Middle Ages, but very interesting people. I hope you guys enjoy that film. That's it for this presentation.